got the G word out before the stream started. So, yeah,
The gamer word.
yeah, sure. Gamer's not banned. So,
Welcome to While We Weren't Recording. We are not cancelled.
yet, we got about 40 seconds
I was
to
going to
try.
say, we just started. How do you know?
Yeah.
Today we're talking about Pushing Daisies, Season 1.
Mostly.
Because nobody can agree to anything.
Yeah.
Nobody
I'm
shot
sorry.
this down.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I almost wish I did, but at the same time, I don't. Because this
Right?
I wish
show is
someone had.
fucking insane. But it's also kind of charming.
It is charming. Like,
Yeah.
it's very charming.
I don't know if I go as far as to say insane. Well, what do you find insane about it?
I find the combination of really terrible background CGI and narration and the overall story just it combines to be kind of like, I don't mean necessarily insane as unbelievable, but at the same time, yeah, it's kind of unbelievable that this show exists.
It's surprising.
I
Right?
mean,
like, this is murder mysteries in Whoville. Who the fuck greenlight this? It was great, but like, how does it work? I do find that all the pieces work for me when it's in together. But like, if you had told me that it was going to be that campy and colorful and really cute, I don't know if I would have understood that I would have liked it. I just tried it out of nowhere and it worked.
I mean, to me, it has some very a series of unfortunate event vibes with the dialogue itself. I was this is actually very Josh Whedon-ish in a way, like
Josh
clever, quippy.
there's some cleverness, but I don't know if I find it that kind of quippy, you know.
No, I wouldn't compare them
There you
at
go.
all.
Much better.
Yeah.
That's the persona
Right.
that you should have.
Especially this last episode, I was like, oh crap, that's who he reminds me of. It's EG. So, you know.
Yes, the characters, we have Lee Pace as the pie maker, or his name is Ned.
Right.
But the narrator always just says the pie maker, which is good and fine. Very fairy tale like, which is, again, it goes back to the Whoville feeling, as if I'm watching the Grinch, but in summer or something. And Emerson Cobb, the private detective that is going to fix murder mystery stuff, but because the pie maker can resurrect people for up to a minute, I know you can just like wake people up and say, hey, who killed you? Give us the money.
Up to a minute without consequence.
Yes.
Right. Because yeah, I was explaining the magic system, you know, to my buddy last night. And it's like, there's 3 rules, but then it's like, this is how it unfolds. And it's like, it's all explained in the first episode, but it's very tragic, you know, like
it's also explained. I mean, you know, there's little things if you want to really dig into dislikes about this show, like the narration I don't mind the narration, but the fact that the show seems a little insecure about the fact that people are not watching this week to week, that it explains a lot of these things over and over and over again, especially you know, even past the first few episodes. It's like, yeah, no, I know what happened to his mother, and I know what happened to her father, and okay, yes,
gotcha, okay.
But
I can see that a little bit, but like, so I just finished episode 8, and it was kind of fun because, you know, there's a health inspector, right? And if you guys, anybody who knows the show knows where this is going, right? But that was the thing. It's like, we don't go in there, and it's like, yeah, Olive's like, I've never been in that room, and I'm like, oh shit, I know exactly what's in there because of the magic system. But they didn't beat you in the head with that information. Like, they do kind of like resurrect it, you know, every couple of episodes you see him do something, or, you know, he's like, oh yeah, this is one of my pies, I can't eat that, you know, or whatever. So I feel like we should explain the magic system for anybody who hasn't like seen the show. But
you mean most people in the world?
yeah, sure.
Yeah. For some reason, when Ned was 9 and his dog got hit by a car, and then he went and touched the dog because he was sad, dog gets right back up and is perfectly fine. And then, like, on the same day or something, his mom dies of a stroke while making pies, and he just goes over and touches her because he wants her to wake up, and she gets up and she's perfectly fine and happy. After a minute, there's like a an equivalent kind of life force needs to die. And so presumably there was another dog that died when Digby was resurrected.
A
You never see it.
local equivalent. Just
There's a proximity
yeah.
effect.
Yes.
And so the girl he has a crush on across the street named Chuck, her father was outside in the right proximity, right life force, kind of random chance, and he just keels over. And so everybody is traumatized. But then he didn't learn until his mom was tucking him in bed at night and kissed him goodnight, and dead again. Because the second
Yes.
time they touch ever, dead again for forever. So
as far as he knows, like that's one thing that I'm curious about. There was probably never an answer in the show, but it's like, you know, he has the dream, whereas like, oh, maybe that part wears off or whatever, right? And maybe it's wishful thinking and whatever, but it's like his mom kissed him like the same day. But like, what a fucking tragedy! Your mom's tucking you in at night, kisses you on the forehead, and that kills her forever.
yeah,
you know,
and so both children lost parents that day,
right? Yeah. And that's that's a big old tragedy about it too. It's like, yes, inadvertently I killed your dad, but I didn't even get to keep my mom. So it's like, you know,
what a waste.
Yeah, right. So, but yes, proximity being the key word, because I think it's like the first episode, right? You know, Emerson's,
I think, because they have to investigate why the guy was dead later.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. It's like, bitch, I was in proximity. So
great line.
Because later, Ned resurrects his, childhood crush, and she's the second creature that he's ever let go beyond the minute. So somebody else local had to die, and it just turned out that it was a bad guy in this case, a giant douchebag. But it could have been Emerson,
just because he's size either.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he died very awkwardly on the toilet,
Elvis style.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was a tragedy. He was the funeral director of the home of that Chuck was in, dead.
Of lonely tourist Charlotte Charles. Get her title correct, please.
First of her name, so
pretty much.
Yeah, but he was a giant douchebag because he was also grave robbing to fill that, But yeah.
Now, does it count as grave robbing if you take it off before they go in the grave? I feel like it's still just stealing at that point. Maybe looting, but I feel like you should have to dig up the grave in order to get that title. Like there should be work involved.
I mean,
Dirt under your fingernails type work. Yeah.
Feel like the fact that they're in a casket makes it academic, but I see where you're going with this, but
these are important distinctions. If you're gonna, there's a difference between larceny and other theft crimes. So
you almost got us
educated on the penal system, are you?
Yeah.
Well, like, if you can be charged with different things and have different punishments, then I feel like the title should also, like, if you're a homicidal maniac, you should have to earn that title. You shouldn't accidentally like push someone down a hill and then they hit 12 people. You don't get the title of homicidal maniac for that.
You should, though, because that's a kill streak and it's quite the improvised weapon. But I think importantly here, you've dodged a different question. You're pressing an attack so that nobody calls you out on what should your title be. You're just saying like you should just be a robber because somebody robbed like an above
a looter,
grave.
Whatever. You can have a different description for it, but he's not a grave robber if he's not robbing the grave.
Right. Is it enough that he's robbing a dead person would make him a grave robber?
Because again, that's what do you call that in a video game when you kill someone and you take all their shit?
Looting.
Yeah. Often, but yeah. So, but I'm not really sure that I'm comfortable, shaping the way that we talk about this sort of thing in video game logic, because I think we're going to change a lot of things, that way. So
fine, off the battlefield. Does that make you feel better?
So, yeah, and it feels like it's not far enough if you're like, oh, well, all he is a simple robber because he robbed somebody who was in a casket but not yet in a grave, so.
Listen, his argument of repurposing held up to me, so.
Sure, yeah, Emerson and the, the mortuary attendant or whatever, great, anyway, funeral director, thank you.
I think,
they're very pragmatic about whether or not you can have claim to property when you're no
Emerson
longer
was
alive.
not broken
So,
up at all about like, oh, these people lost their precious family heirlooms that they thought were giving to their precious loved ones and as the forever going away present. It's like, no, I want to get all that shit back to be able to ransom it back to the families. I want the money. He was very,
Right.
very clinical about it.
Listen, they lost it anyway if they were planning on having it buried in the casket. At this point, you want to talk about academic, it's already gone.
Right.
Yes, but
It's
then they find it out
once
that it's being
removed. It's
sold on
finding a
eBay.
pirate treasure, you know?
Right.
They're very upset to find a precious sword being sold on eBay, which led to Justin's favorite line, I'm sure.
I mean,
I am a pie maker. Yeah, this is a great
Yeah.
line.
it's a pretty good moment in what would be an insane scene of ridiculousness, because like that whole chain of events is like, what are we doing here? Like, we've got a guy who, so his some number of greats grandfather was from China working on the railroad and happened to come across the dead Confederate general and stole his uniform, which that was a great irony of the episode, was like, it's okay when your great great grandfather does it, and that now that sword is a family heirloom because he looted it off of a dead general. And
Great Robin.
it was like, it was like, that's some irony that's being lost here in this episode, whether it was intentional or not, I'm not sure, but yeah. And
Also,
then
those
it's
were
like
some very forward-thinking Confederate soldiers to accept an Asian general.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a general's uniform. The uniform wins, right? The rank insignia. So,
Well, possession's 9/10 the law. So I mean, we're going right down the line here.
yep.
But yes, "Are You Adopted" was to be followed up with the "And I Wanted to Be a Jedi."
Right.
And it's too bad that of all the movies that he's been in, he's never been in a Star Wars movie, Lee Pace. I don't
Probably
think
for the best now.
Yeah, there's time. So
Yeah, but he was in Lincoln, which more Confederates.
That's true.
Maybe he's typecast. He's not. You don't
yeah,
have to think about this.
no, yeah, I forgot that was one of the movies he was in. That one was only like a 7, and I don't think I've seen it, but I was like, okay, so that's another name that I at least recognize. But
I've seen that movie. I don't remember him in it, honestly, because that was several years ago.
He's one of the
It's just-
congressmen that's very not against, or very against the 14th Amendment.
gotcha.
Mostly just
Well,
remember
that's a
Tommy Lee
bummer.
Jones in that movie, I think.
As you should. He was,
He was fun.
much like Emerson Codd, he was the only sane person in these mad world.
Yeah. Emerson is great in being so dour and cynical in this setting of everyone else being so whimsical and cute. It plays
Right.
really well.
He's definitely the realist, like.
It has its
Yeah,
own
it's-
whimsy, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, they gave him just a dash of whimsy though, and that's coming through in the fact that he knits, right? Like that, and his love of money is almost the biblical sense, where he's just smelling it, counting it in the bathtub, and a bubble bath, mind you. So I guess
knitting
that's
socks
another
knitting socks for it.
Mm-hmm. We got to have something to store it in. So
Yeah,
people can see it.
yeah.
And now pop-up books.
Okay, I'm actually impressed.
Right.
I was like, in the first season, because I watched all of them, I had to the one with the dogs, and that was
Yes.
great. And what I'm amazed by is that they actually named the episode "Bitches."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they
Well,
got
and
away
that's-
with back then.
Yeah, no, and it's kind of funny because like I feel like the show is like, I don't know, it's like 80%. I don't know. Earlier I said it was like 80% inappropriate, but it's probably like 80%, like harmless or whatever. But then yes, you get the bitches, you get the implication. Well, I mean, that episode also has straight up polygamy and the implication that they should have an open relationship, and that he's like Chuck is okay with him having a side piece because she can't. I was like, there's a lot of things that are openly said, even though they do say bitches, for example. And there's just like a lot of those things where it's like, oh, this is like 4 inches from being inappropriate. It's like so close, where it's just like, you fill in the gaps, and then it's like I don't know if I kind of feel dirty watching this show sometimes, so it's kind of funny. Apparently I'm the only one, so I'm telling on myself,
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you do have to fill in the
yeah.
conversation. They're having conversations as real, like, reasonable adults of you can
reasonable's a strong
never
word.
touch the person you're in love with
Sure.
ever.
Yeah, I mean there was some of that. So
Through his cling film, though, like,
well, that too, and I mean if we're gonna go that route, they've got the bee suits and whatever. So I don't know if they do other things in other episodes yet, but
Also,
but
you
yeah.
would think she would be a little gun shy about having plastic over her face, considering what happened. But
yeah.
I mean, she did it.
maybe she was always into
so,
it. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Yeah, she was more mad that they just didn't stop when she used the safe word of "help, get me out of here." So,
Well, it's not really a safe word. You
Yeah.
can't really use that.
and I like how you skip over the episode named Girth, to go for bitches, which I mean,
I was
obviously is the
specifically making
better
sure
thing.
of
but-
the episode with the four wives, and that was a really good episode to me, because also Joel McHale just completely hamming it up the
Yes.
dozens of times that they, like, this is how he died, really stupidly,
I was
over
gonna say
and
that
over
was
and over again. They
probably
showed
the
it.
most Final Destination style death.
Yes, it was great.
Right.
But also the Emerson having that, like, reaction to Simone and all of her dog clicker things. She comes back as a character. It's great every time.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it's too bad she didn't come back, but I guess she comes back in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a similar way with the Dresden Files, like you catch on to the characters that either go away forever one way or another, or the ones that are still kind of unresolved. And so there's only like 3 or 4 of them, I think, up to this point. But I'm like, oh, okay, so we're gonna see that person again. This seems like that kind of show, because it's like you got Simone, she's one of the first. You've got the Smeller guys, like Nemesis, Paul Rubens' character, right? And then you've got like the Candy chick, up to episode 8 that I'm at. So there's like a couple others, but it's like I guess sometimes like they just, it's clear that they're probably not coming back, right? Because I guess you've got like in Pigeon, both of those characters survived, right? Dude goes back to prison and she goes back to writing him letters while he's in prison or whatever. But yeah, it's like a lot of characters that when their story is done, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to see your ass again. So presumably, if they got to it by season 2.
Yeah, I found that there's a surprising amount of returning characters for what is very episodic, when you're not outside of the, like, Ned and Chuck and Olive, Emerson and the aunts. Like, there's just a surprising amount of people who get to return. You get to see these characters again in their different place, like the Smell guy. And Simone, I thought actually was the most surprising, that she returns like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay. So they're not like going steady in season 2 or whatever, because that's what I assume.
Sort of. They're both a bit. I don't just fucking watch it.
She likes to use him. So
yeah, but even to the point that they brought the same dog back.
Oh,
yeah, it was one of a kind. Like, why would they not?
Yeah, like they paid attention enough to that detail to keep the same dog actor. Like I just appreciated it.
I see Paul Rubens' character comes back in the next episode. So
yeah,
if only I had 1 more hour to watch, I'd be caught up. So oh well.
Well, now you have something to look forward to.
I know.
Can we talk about the last episode then, or?
Yeah, whatever. What are you gonna spoil?
The fact that is it Vivian?
Yes.
The
second best character.
Yeah, is Charles's mother.
That is a spoiler. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was another one of those things where I was like, oh, please don't get too soap opera-y. That's one of those things that makes me glad this only lasted 2 seasons, because I have a feeling shit like that would keep happening if it went on too long.
Sure.
But
like they would find out that it's going to be with his father too, or something.
It was her brother, though, right?
Huh?
The dad was her brother, or was
What, Ned's dad? I have no idea. I'm
No.
halfway
No,
through
wait.
episode 10.
So
Chuck's
you
mother.
have the names of the aunts wrong. I wanted to.
I know. I was just looking
Yeah.
at that too. You're probably thinking Lily is the second best character, right?
Lily,
So-
the one with the missing eye.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is Chuck's mother.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
Unsurprised. Yeah.
so Chuck's father, Charles, was engaged with Vivian.
Oh.
And so
right.
Lily
Okay,
had an affair with her sister's fiance.
okay, like that. I see.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
they're not actually related.
Vivian
Right.
doesn't think that they're related, except for the fact that they called themselves aunts because when he died, they swooped in to take care of the kid.
hmm
And everybody believes that the mother died in childbirth.
I'm gonna have to watch this episode, obviously, but like, yeah, I'm curious what the mental gymnastics involved there is. So
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm
Not
not
many.
seeing it either.
not many to adopt your biological daughter and then not tell her about the
Lily,
situation and like those mental
for Lily's
gymnastics.
mental gymnastics,
so.
it's basically of like they decided to lie for reasons because they didn't want to hurt people, and then they just kept it for forever. But Vivian of just like, okay, we're going to adopt this child of the person who I used to be engaged with, and then no longer. And
Sure. Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pivot because I got nothing to add to that specifically, but Lily saved the first episode and probably the show for me. Just because I think it was the first episode and it was
Which
you know,
shoots the intruder. That's
yeah,
first.
the shotgun. It was like I can hold my breath for a really long time. It was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm actually annoyed that there isn't a gift for that. So, but yeah, like,
entirely fair. When trying to find
Yeah.
gifts of this show, you get a lot of weird.
there's
shit.
like a dozen gifts,
Yeah.
and so it's like, okay, I mean that's
I was
representative.
going to say, I mean,
of
the
kinds,
fact that
but
there are any is probably.
sure, yeah, especially it's 18 years old, but
Mhm.
that's why I threw in the Goodfellas because it was Bitches episode, right? We can say that on the air because it's literally the title of the episode, but
Well, because it's past a minute.
I was like, oh, he had 4 wives. He was caffeinated. It's like that's how he did that because he was caffeinated. And it's funny, it's like that was my life lesson out of Goodfellas. It's like through cocaine and partying, all things are possible. So
Yeah, that is
For a
true.
time,
That,
anyway.
that little scene when he was describing of like, and so first I went here to try to sell the gun, and then I went here and I had to make over the entire Italian dinner party, and then I had to go here and get a whole lot of money, and it's just like he's running back and forth and back and forth. It just, yeah, power of cocaine. That's how you do that.
Yeah. Well, it was more he has 2 families and is still partying until 4 a.m. and it was like I can barely do one of any of those things, like so, and then it was
Let
like,
alone to that
right,
hour.
the cocaine, so but yeah.
I thought there would be a Mormon joke in there at some point.
Yeah, I mean they just do it straight, right? Like the only thing even the trivia brought up was like this kind of reinforces the fact that they're in a parallel universe because isn't polygamy illegal? And I was like, yeah, that's thin, dudes, but whatever. Like,
Yeah, there was no statement
So-
that they were all legally married versus they had a ritual ceremony thing and all considered themselves to be married.
also true, I guess. Yeah.
Also, they get up to a lot of illegal shit in this show. So, I mean,
Oh yeah,
Right. For as like, whimsical as it's supposed to be. Yeah. There's, I mean, literally grave robbing bunches of times,
Yeah.
all sorts of breaking and entering and trespassing and, other petty crimes and stuff like that. So
storing
Yeah,
spoiled
that-
food on the premises.
obviously, yeah.
There won't be
There's
spoiled when
sometimes
you
logic
use
that they
it.
just do away with, like the fact that Chuck was dead for like a week and she's perfectly fine. And when people
Right.
are resurrected, they're just perfectly healthy.
I was going to say, yeah, that's
not.
you're going to have to chalk that up to the magic system because, well,
Yeah.
even the fact that like you can revive someone who died the way they did, and they wouldn't immediately just be screaming, still in pain, and,
Correct.
like die again instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's the episode Smell of Success, right? That woman was burned entirely. You know, that one was one that was kind of a shock, and it's like, you know, or what was another one? There was
I
another
was
one where
watching.
it's like, this guy should be oozing. You know, like he can't just be like, oh yes, part of my face is missing, and that's fine. You know. So.
Yeah, they're all very okay with being resurrected, and sometimes they ask like, "Hey, do I get to go to heaven now?" And
Right,
it's
sure,
awkward,
buddy.
or
Yeah,
but I guess I'm dead. Yeah, here's all the answer to your questions, mostly, and then
right.
time's up. They're all
What?
this is a very cutesy type of show. They don't get into the trauma of it very much.
Sure.
Yeah, I was watching the first couple episodes with my friend, and we were talking, and there was just like, you know, that's just kind of gotta be part of the magic. I like even had a thought you could go more sinister with it if the show went on, and it would have been like how they have to or want to please Chuck because the magic compels them to do so. So there's this kind of like, that's why they're just so okay with it and answer any question because they have to. And
Oh, you
the
mean the corpses?
Yeah, the corpses and the implication of Chuck and
Ned.
and his relationship then, if that was the case.
Yeah. Ned's the pie maker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chuck's the girl.
Yeah, Ned the pie maker.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, to me, one of the more telling implications from the whole situation is like many of them have been dead for some time. And almost all of them, the first question is, wait, why aren't I on fire? Or am I in the good place? Or, you know, is this what the afterlife is like? Implying that they've got at a minimum no memory of the afterlife up to and possibly there is no afterlife. Or do they just go inert for a period of time? But it's also kind of interesting, and that's part of why I want to watch the whole like Dead Like Me and see what that answer is, because clearly there are Reapers involved there, so there is something, right? Presumably, but yeah, like in the show, I think you could make the argument that there isn't really an afterlife, and I think that's what Cod Emerson thinks, is that, you know, you're dead. It does not matter, even if there was. But for the most part, he doesn't believe that there is, you know, that you just die and then you stop having problems. Congratulations, you know.
Yeah, the best you can get is, do you want revenge on the person who killed you? Yeah.
Right. Sure, right. Pretty easy to answer that in 55 seconds. So
You would think.
I mean, but those, like, I really enjoyed the bitches episode because like they wake up Joel McHale and they're like, "Who killed you?" "Oh, the last thing that happened was I was drinking my coffee that was poisoned, that was given to me by my wife." "Oh, poor sweetie." And then he has to die again. And Emerson's like, "Yes, finally, a nice straightforward answer.
Right.
The wife did it."
Right.
Which one?
Yeah, except for there are 4 wives. So, yeah. Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of those. I mean, the Bittersweet starts out that way, you know, of like, oh yeah, like my girlfriend didn't do it. She was wild for me. It was Dude's girlfriend, but Dude's girlfriend is a doll, so it was really just Dude by proxy, you know.
Yeah.
So that was pretty straightforward. But then, you know, this episode had multiple murders that they had to deal with, and without all the magic. So
So we've completely skipped over the character of Olive.
yeah, it's because she's short. It's easy to just see right
She's
over her.
extremely short, and compared to
Yes.
Lee Pace, that's comical.
Right.
How tall is
Well,
she?
it's just
I
for
love the
their
fact that
emphasis.
she's-
This is a Dresden prequel.
Yes, right. No, I mean, I could 100% see her at the time, you know, being Murphy and him pulling a Dresden if we had done this 18 years ago. So in which case we would barely have any Dresden to reference, but you know, it'd be like, oh yeah, that up and coming actor Lee Pace. I hope he doesn't go on to be the king of the elves or anything, so we can use him for the Dresden Files. But
And,
yeah,
and
like
Broadway
maybe
sensation Christian Chenoweth.
She's
right.
4'11" and a half, and that half means something at her
Yeah.
height. And he
Oh, no,
is
for sure,
6'5".
Right. Yeah. The fact that she very frequently is climbing on the furniture so that they can get her in the shot is pretty hilarious to me. So, you know, but, and that, everyone was surprised that she used to be a horse jockey, and it's like,
why she's tiny.
yeah,
Right,
your
it's
jobs
like,
are
I
pretty
mean,
limited when they're size dependent. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was more like, oh yeah, that makes a kind of sense, and everybody else is like, what? You poor girl. And I was like, yeah, she cried herself to sleep on huge piles of money, is what it sounds like.
That-
You know?
She's the girl that got a pony.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
the jockey bar hangout that sent me how they were like racist, and but they were racist towards someone who was tall, not that he was black. That they
Right.
were like all speaking with an Irish accent because leprechauns. It was like, you know,
she took that
Yeah.
point of all these heights. Like, so we paid 6'4" 3/4", but you just round that up to 6'5" because who gives a shit. But the guy who
Right.
plays Emerson is 6'4" and a half. They had
Right.
equal heights, ridiculously tall people at the same time. And then there's Olive who's pint size.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, no, I like the actress. I like her character, you know, and it adds
I've seen her in
dynamic
other
that
things
you need.
before, and I swear she's the
Yeah.
same age back then, and she's been forever. She looks the same, like perpetually, like early 40s for the last 40 years or something.
There is a lot of product
Yeah.
that goes into her appearance.
I mean, if you had just stopped at that first part, she probably would have been saying like, "Oh, thank you," and then you ruined it because she was like 39, I think, if I'm mathing right, when the show came out, and
That sounds right, I think.
and that
Yeah.
was 18 years ago. So you know, math, but yeah, yep, she is and was a looker. So
Yeah, she kind of has a almost Dolly Parton like energy of just she's always made up very well. She never looks bedraggled,
Sure.
and very like high energy in the right way of
frequently positive, you know, like
Unpleasant.
even when she's being toxic, it's kind of a
Yeah.
positive thing.
That's
Oh yeah,
fair.
she's very much got that like, Southern blonde girl type of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, bittersweets, you know, the whole she confronted the candy store owner mostly as a distraction, but it was like, well, you know, your owner killed my, you know, spoilers, and it's like, I think we're just going to agree to disagree, you know, but it's
Yep.
or even the same episode, and she's like, we could talk about this as long as you imagine me scratching out your eyes. You know, it's like, oh, is it
And
that bad? You know,
this in this
so-
case is that Olive is in love with Ned and never ever getting over it, probably. And so then she gets to watch him be all goo goo eyes at Chuck, and then they can't touch, versus Olive can
And
touch
she doesn't-
Ned and has kissed him,
right.
whether or not he wanted it.
And she doesn't even understand the why, right? That's the other thing. So for her, it's also just a waste. And Ned is completely 100% just not interested. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, it would, I don't know, it'd almost be more drama if he was even just like slightly tempted, and maybe, you know, the dream sequence, you could say that like his subconscious has entertained it and whatever. But I was like, yeah, he is just like, Olive does not exist in a sexual way for him, you know. But even Chuck is like, dude, she's a looker, my dude. Like, you know, I'm just saying, if you did, I would totally understand, you know. So.
Yeah, and the whole fact that he can't get anything at all from the woman he wants without murdering her is
Or Dresden energy.
That's just it's a lack of imagination. I'm just saying. I mean, in other words, there's geometry that could be involved. There are certainly aids. I'm saying, you know.
If plastic works, surely a rubber does.
What do you say? I mean, until they found a even better solution, Justine, in quotation marks, since it's not Justine at any point,
right?
Found a solution with Thomas.
Yeah, but Thomas is receptive, and Ned is very much like Dresden, where if they can't do it for procreation in the loving biblical sense, he doesn't want it.
to Thomas's angle though too, it's also like life sustaining, literally, like not life affirming, because that's, you know, all of us, I think, but life sustaining in the sense that he needs it to feed his darker nature and whatever. But and probably a way to overcome the whole, like, you know, as everything levels up with Dresden, if we want Thomas to stay relevant, he's probably going to need to eat a sandwich between here and there, you know. So
And that sandwich's name is Sandy.
right, or be a sandwich or whatever, you know. So yeah, because the Justine analogy breaks down, because I think my buddy said it pretty much the exact same thing. It's like, oh, so it's like a Thomas thing or whatever. It's like, but the problem is you can't like make Chuck immune to being killed. Like at no point, as far as we know, is it ever going to work. And like the only middle ground that I could even see that being a possibility is like, and don't spoil it if it's in another future episode or whatever, but it's like Digby is around and he's been resurrected for longer than Chuck. So it's like if Ned accidentally petted Digby and all of a sudden that dog was alive,
he kills his dog again.
Well, whatever. It's a dog. Yeah. Get over it. You know, I get it's your only friend and whatever. I know. I'm sorry.
No, he's absolutely correct. People need to get over this shit. Dogs are great if you want them and have them, but they are
Chuck.
Like, chill.
Chuck is a bona fide hottie. Okay, so I'm just saying, you know, like Digby might be willing to take one for the team.
I mean,
you kill that dog just to figure it out.
Yeah, for science. All right, not cold blooded, you know, but
you have to like test it out with like rats or pigeons or something.
But
don't
you gotta wait 20 years for that rat or pigeon.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're gonna keep it in a cage for
Like Digby's got the time, so at this point you got to figure out what, and that might not even be telling because it may be only like 15 years or something, and they're gonna wait too long. But at this, you know, at least you'd have a frame of reference.
You know, but like, yeah,
Digby was a full-grown golden retriever when he died, and now he's been a golden retriever for 20 years.
Yes,
canonically.
Yeah.
I have other questions about what happens to these resurrected people. Like, is Chuck never ever gonna age?
Right. And that really does go back to like what you were talking about earlier too, because clearly there is some kind of impact because they have a smell, even if it's subtle enough that normal people don't figure it out. You know, the expert smeller people knew something was up, you know, so they are not perfectly unharmed and everything. It may be functionally academic, but yeah, like you could take it all the way down to all sorts of weird levels. But it's like, certainly if they're not aging, that has a huge amount of implications about what's going on in their body, you know. And like, does she got digestive problems we haven't been discussing? Is she basically just like a really high functioning zombie where she can't like digest food and she can't age and she can't, you know, but at least she doesn't also necrotize?
Pretty sure she eats, because she talks about like different pie recipes.
Well, yeah, she imbibes, right? But there's more than mastication involved in that process.
But no masturbation, as we know. The difference thanks to this show.
None that has been directly, you know, mentioned on the show.
As long as they're on the other sides of the room, I suppose it would be okay.
Well, the other question is, so I mean, presumably if she got hit by a car again, she would die, and maybe if she got poisoned, she would die, but we don't know. So is it just a matter of like, is this a fountain of youth thing? And with, you know, the effect being that if he touches her again, he takes it away, obviously. But since he seems to bring back these dead people in whatever state they were in, and also, I mean, you can say fine. They're not fine, but they're also not screaming in agony or in tremendous pain. And like, they are just normal, but for their deformities. So,
and maybe a little too accepting about the situation.
They're very accepting.
You know,
yeah.
Everything in this world, people are very not human in a lot of ways.
Sure.
It's got this weird combination of being like this 50s aesthetic when they're children, and even the pie shop keeps that, but like everything's still semi-modern. But we're talking about a PI with an actual office, and you know, there's a lot of cross-genre nonsense too.
They're in like a modestly sized city as well, right? You know, it's like his shop seems to be in a kind of downtown, not just like on a main street.
Yeah, I get what's the movie with Tobey Maguire where they go into the TV show? where they bring
Oh,
the TV show to life.
Is
right.
that Pleasantville?
Yeah, Pleasantville. I get adjacent Pleasantville adjacent vibes from this kind of show,
Okay.
especially at the beginning with the town they live in. But you know, Kurtakura
Sure.
is very, 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 very like
It is very idyllic.
Twin Peaks strange.
Is it because we're getting it from Ned's perspective and he's just like,
Oh,
everything was perfect and then my mom died, you know?
It could be, but it also seems to like a lot of the stuff stay. And I guess you could say it's because it's centered around his point of view, but like his establishment and the world they live in, like unless he's just basically having a psychotic break somewhere because of what happened, and this is all just being filtered through that lens. The entire world is pretty strange, to say the least. And that's not just because of the resurrecting people thing. Like if that didn't happen, the way these people act, and the jobs they have, and all this stuff is just, it's weird.
I mean, private investigator and pie maker.
Well,
No, I mean like everyone, everyone, like it, like
Right.
the way, yeah, the aunts and the way they lived, and the bee people and that company,
Are you
and
saying
the
that
dog
there aren't
and the dog
mermaids?
emporiums and all this stuff. Like, you know, these are just
Yeah.
very exaggerated versions of otherwise normal things.
It's very cartoon logic of like the aunts as an example are they're what a dynamic synchronized swimming duo of mermaid something, but they don't perform very much because of hermit like tendencies of depression or just shut in.
Well, they don't perform
whatever's
anymore at all, right?
and they have like 50 cockatoos.
Well, how many of them are stuffed now, though? So,
48.
because they mentioned that in an episode, right? Yeah, that it's like when they just die, they just, yeah, I think that was the pigeon episode actually, right? Because they just had spare parts because
that's true.
a lot of those birds are dead. So, yeah.
I mean, still with the cartoon logic, that like as
Sure.
Chuck decides to dose her aunts with happy drugs. They're
Right.
I don't remember what the word.
FDA approved homeopathic
Homeopathic, yeah.
Those
Yeah,
are
so she's just
practically
like
oxymoronic, but yeah.
and possibly just LSD.
Right.
Well, in a strong enough dose of vanilla, yeah.
Yeah.
Or not vanilla, as the case may be.
Right. I realized another movie that this reminds me of too a little bit, which is Big Fish. There's a very similar stylistically, but in Big Fish they're not quite so comically like 1950s and kind of absurd in that way, but it is very similar.
Yeah, well, you have the grounding element at the end of that where you meet them, but it's like this was told through the lens of his father who exaggerated, but at the same time there was always a basis of a foundation of truth to those fantastical stories when you meet the giant and you meet the circus guy. But, you know, it was obviously all heightened in that way.
Right. And that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, I think that's where my subconscious was latching on. Like, we may be getting this kind of whimsy because this is Ned, right? His childhood was in a large part stolen from him, you know, in a couple of key ways. And so maybe he comes up with these stories and whatever. Like the magic part might be real for this world or whatever, but like the lens that all of this is told through, you know, is him coping, you know. But
it is great though, talking about magic of like, okay, so we know a guy who can bring back the dead people, but ghosts is out of line. Like we can't accept
that's
ghosts.
What I'm saying. There's no yeah, right, because he doesn't believe in any of that, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, but at the same time, as a necromancer, he would know better, right? So that's why I'm like, in this world, even though there is, I think there's a kinship with the other show Brian Fuller also did, you know, Dead Like Me. I don't think they're literally the same universe, even though that was originally the idea. So there's some wiggle room, but that's why I'm like, I'm not sure in Pushing Daisies there is an afterlife, you know, like I think you could say that easily, right? There's no ghosts, there's no, you know, nobody comes back and was like, oh my God, why did you pull me out of that place? I was having so much fun, or literally anything, right? And even in our world, there are near-death experiences. People at least have stories, let alone it's like, oh, you've been dead for like, you know, hours, days, minutes, whatever, and you've got nothing to say about it. So it's just a thing I've noticed. It doesn't really pull me out of the show, but it is, it's noteworthy in its absence, I feel like.
It's also a suspicious amount of people with just cash lying around to hire a private investigator to
to prove their innocence. Yeah.
This
Like
is back
even
in
the
the days when
girlfriend.
people even had cash.
Sure. Right.
Cash
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, this is post payphones, but pre cash going away. Is
And
that
pre-cell
the
phone.
narrow? Yeah.
I don't remember a single
Well,
cell phone.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't remember a
like,
phone period so far, but I mean, I'm only
I do
halfway
remember
through it.
Emerson answers the phone a couple of times.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he answers it in his
Full private
office.
invest-
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
As a
I
PI.
think Ned calls people on like it's not
Yeah.
a rotary phone, but it's pretty old, so
Mhm.
that might just be like a stylistic thing because 2007 there were even smartphones, let alone cell phones.
Yeah, there was an
So,
iPhone by then.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think the iPhone was
Yeah,
2005,
like-
wasn't it?
It's later. Okay, whatever. I don't pay attention to history like shit like that. But
Six or something, I think. Let me look it up.
Well, it says first generation was 2007. I thought it was earlier than that.
Seven.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
yeah,
Okay,
but the complete
so-
lack of even a
Six
tiny
was,
Nokia cell phone.
The
Yeah.
iPod Touch. 7 was the phone.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think Wi-Fi is a thing in this world.
Uh,
Also, his apartment complexes, which is like weirdly, all the apartments are nice, but it's kind of like this weird dorm city, strange aesthetic thing on the outside. Like it looks like one of those hotels where you are on the inside and you're all looking around a pool on the inside for some reason. They got like those balconies. It's like an indoor balcony.
Yeah. Just real quick on the cell phones thing for some extra context. So the third version of the Razor was around in 2004, and that was a pretty ubiquitous flip phone. So I was like, they
Right.
had proper like modern cell phones at a minimum by then, if
Yeah.
not
Also, Blackberries would have
the
been
iPhone. But
fairly strong at this point.
Yeah.
So it is a stylistic choice to just not have the even idea of a cell phone.
So far we've seen, yeah. I mean, clearly none of the main characters seem to have them, So, because I mean, if anybody's going to have one, Emerson would have one,
Yeah.
and he'd constantly be interrupted. Like, oh, sorry, I got to step out of the room and take this. New job, new work. So, but
It's probably better that way.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely leaning into the same aesthetic as Dresden, as we've mentioned.
Mhm.
In
Well,
that
the fact that
regard.
he's got basically 2 6-shooters.
Yeah, that he knitted shoulder holsters for is probably like that's pretty much the introduction, I think, of him knitting that in the socks, right? And it's just like,
Yeah.
so
Well, it saves money.
cozy, so comfy, so it's just
And it saves
freaking
money.
hilarious.
Speaking of guns, when he's like, "Hold it there, Missy," or whatever it is, with the Make a Wish for woman, and she's like, "I got a gun too," and he instantly drops his gun and holds up a peace sign.
Yeah, it's like he really seems to have no interest in actually using that gun.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
It's like she's got a bat in her hand. She pulls out a gun. Admittedly, it's a bigger gun, but he's already very much got the drop on her. And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to put this gun down instead.
At the same time, though, he's had a gun pulled on him a couple of times, and he doesn't just like fall to pieces, So
No, I think he's well, I don't want to say he's okay with being held at gunpoint, but he seems to be very much against, or at least in this one interaction, the idea of actually using his own gun.
sure, yeah.
Is his daughter being introduced in season 2?
I have no doubt.
You're gonna have to watch it.
I don't know. I'm halfway through episode 10. Where the hills are alive with the sound of music.
The color grading in this is also very like over exaggerated, exposed, but in a kind of pleasing way. Like it's not. I like it.
Okay. I mean, I think the very low budget CGI. I mean, yes, the color grading stands out, especially like in the flower fields and this. That, and
Will you
thing.
come off it? They barely had fully independent Yoda by then. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't have to use it. They did it for a reason, and that's because it looks this way.
Probably, yeah, fine.
They chose to make it look like Whoville. That is still what I'm going back to as an example.
Yeah,
Everything
when
is
did the Grinch come out?
Wait.
Because like
something like that, right?
Like this is around very close to the same time the first Iron Man movie came out. I mean,
The
and
Grinch
that
came
was
out in
great
2000.
CGI.
It's
Yeah.
pre 9/11.
Oh,
aren't
wow.
we all?
Well,
Actually,
we
no, we
are,
aren't
but
all.
yeah, we are, but there's quite a few full adults that are not. So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the director's basically pre 9/11. Technically not,
Mm.
but essentially yes.
yeah, but it's also worth highlighting the Iron Man comment because 2008 is when Iron Man came out, and so it's like up to this point, most people don't acknowledge superhero movies, even though there were plenty, but it's like this was pre MCU anyway.
They couldn't
to
appreciate
be
Blade in its
specific.
time.
So,
Yeah, there's two extremes, and there's Ben, who doesn't like a movie that has color, and then there's people who are only like the MCU, and movies only
can we
started.
come up with a
2008.
different way to say that, please? That just sounds terrible for Ben. So,
Yeah, well, that's his
He would
problem.
hate pushing Daisies too much color.
right?
Lots of color.
There's
Yeah, I was gonna say he would want this to be Pleasantville in that first half of the movie.
I can't help but think about the comparison I made with the series of unfortunate events, except that it's like very I feel like the tone is kind of similar in them. Like they have the same whimsical thing, but a series of unfortunate events very low under, like it's very gray, it's very muted because that's how they chose to do it, and here it's very overexposed, which I think is interesting.
think,
It was also funny to see the first episode, how it was like you can see how this was the episode made to pitch, because then from episode 1 to 2 the set slightly changed, his hair got the way different, the jockey's hair changed, like, and yeah, they made Chuck a little hotter. My friend noted, he was like, they did her hair up more makeup, more cleavage.
Well, I mean, to be
When is
fair, it
this?
starts when she's a corpse.
From episode 1 to 2.
You're gonna.
Oh, really?
She was a corpse. What do you want? They're not going to show. Well, I mean, some people may show cleavage when they're a corpse, but it's not typical.
Right.
You could just tell it was like a higher production from 1 to 2. It's probably more the.
Okay, it could be.
Yeah.
I was going to say, series of unfortunate events, I don't find, and admittedly, I read the books, so I don't find them to be whimsical, though I do understand that sort of description. I think of them more like the Grimm fairy tales, but like actually for kids, where these kids are just put in these terrible circumstances and they do actually come out okay in the end, but realistically, that's a terrible, terrible world. And I mean, yeah, there's a baby with one tooth that helps thwart things, Scooby-Doo style, but I do not describe that series as whimsical, personally.
I've only seen
used
the
a real
movie,
baby.
and
Yes,
I feel like it has like
obviously,
a whimsy about it, but
Yeah, that was one of our earlier like enduring jokes at this point, but it's like I think it was the Netflix show and whatever, and that was like the baby's in trouble and very clearly being CGI'd in this moment is like, do you think they used the real baby? So
I never watched the show. I only ever watched the movie because at that time I was actually reading the books, and they do like the first 3 stories, as part of that movie, if I remember correctly. It wasn't very good.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
just
lot.
remember.
That's a lot.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at the time, I think they
carried
were
a
on
good
book
amount.
8 or 9 or something out of 12 or 15. I don't even remember how many he got up to. But yeah,
I'm just
started
saying,
with
like, to
essentially
try and
miniseries.
squeeze in 3 books into one movie.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like if somebody did a Dresden movie and tried to squeeze in the first 3 books. But
If I remember right, those were tiny books. Like they were not long. I guess because they were actually for kids, but they were.
they were fairly substantive.
Stories.
Really?
Yeah, they were 250-page books.
Were they?
They were pretty.
I remember I read a couple of them. I thought they were really short.
I
been
think you just
20
skipped a few
years, though.
pages. I never actually finished that series. I think I never read the last 2 books or something. I don't
That's
remember why.
unfortunate.
You know what? I've made it this far and I'm still alive. So
Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah.
and living happily. Like I don't feel as though I've missed out on anything despite not reading those last 2 books.
I find that I frequently need to finish things that I started, even though they're not like great. So
Well, that's just parenthood.
maybe, but well, so season 2 in 2 weeks.
Sure.
I mean, I won't be here because I'll be in Maryland, but yes, I'm going to watch it just because at this point, again,
Maryland has
I need
the
to finish
internet.
It does, but the Ren Fair doesn't. So
You're going to a Ren Fair in Maryland?
Yeah.
Why are you not sharing details? This sounds awesome.
Because you've done nothing but deride the fact that I'm going to Maryland so far. You haven't given me a chance.
Now Justin is also going to Maryland.
I know, right?
There are Ren Fairs in many states at similar times, but if you'd like to come to Maryland to this particular Ren Fair, feel free.
After, I definitely want the details. I don't know. Like, it'd be fun to show up and harass you, but I won't.
If you can find me at the Ren Fair, you are more than welcome to.
How big is this Ren Fair? I have been to Ren Fairs, sir.
Big enough that, and with a big enough crowd, that if you're milling around and I'm not wearing something that you've already been told to look out for, you probably won't necessarily find me.
I think he would be pretty easy to find. The black thundercloud following him would give him away.
Right.
It doesn't exist at a Ren Fair.
Are you going in full plate? Because that would obviously add like a 20 to the difficulty check. So
no, I do not go in full plate. I've only just gotten a cloak for it and it depends on the weather. Like currently, if it's going to be in the 70s and 80s, I'm going to be in shorts. Like I don't care. I'm not period accurate. I'm not sweating just because.
Right. Yeah, that's something peasants do, not EG.
They sell weapons there, but you can't bring them in, which is sad to me.
That's funny.
It makes sense, but it's still sad.
Yeah.
They sell a whole lot of booze too, overpriced booze, but they have a lot of them.
It's not terrible.
And we don't have Ren Fairs here, but I have heard tales of big turkey lakes.
Oh
yeah, there are those. Sometimes it's ostrich, though.
Obligatory. So,
never seen an ostrich lake at a Ren Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be even bigger than a turkey.
I've seen an ostrich egg.
Now I have a desire to eat an even bigger bird.
There isn't a bigger bird than an ostrich that's alive.
But I haven't eaten one yet, so that's why it's a golden.
There is Big Bird.
Don't eat Big Bird.
I'm not eating Big Bird. So, thanks for putting that horror in my mind, though.
Yeah, that gets you somewhere back on the crime scale again.
Why?
I don't know if we have laws against murdering sentient animals.
Is it a plague?
If we did, we'd be in trouble. So,
yeah, we eat pigs and they're pretty smart. So like,
yeah,
cows are surprisingly smart too, but they're also delicious.
Right. If they didn't want to be eaten, they shouldn't have been made out of meat. And I think that
I was going to say that's really the one. That's another evolutionary advantage we have is that people just don't taste as good. Apparently,
I feel like
we're supposed to be very pig tasting,
right? Yeah, it was like pigs are a pretty magical animal, and we're supposed to be a version of that. So,
if you well, you haven't, but apparently, so I've been told. Humans who have died in a fire, it smells like pork.
Yeah, we didn't need to go that route. Before this gets truly, entirely, irredeemably weird, I think it's also worth pointing out that cannibalism usually also comes with serious side effects for your health in the long term. So that's probably a better reason why.
When you keep doing it, but if you do it once or twice a year, it's probably fine.
Okay, so Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Isn't the translation for in some cannibalistic tribe, if you translate the word for their word for when they eat humans, it's a long pig? I feel like I've read that somewhere.
I don't know. I don't frequent these tribes.
I commonly hear it referred to as such, but I didn't know if that was a translation in any way, shape, or form. So
yeah, I don't know if it's true. It's just something I've read before. I don't know.
Suddenly you guys are disinvited to my feast unless you're volunteering to be the main course, but
Hey,
I don't
Hannibal.
want to come to your feast if you're not going to have eclectic things on the menu.
Just it depends. Not those eclectic things though.
Yeah, go back to the ostrich legs.
What are we having then,
Fine.
Justin? What eclectic things are
Ostrich
you
legs,
serving?
apparently, and not big
I'm
bird.
just
Are we
saying, like,
And are we getting it from Costco?
no,
No.
yeah, mostly on account of like Costco doesn't have this level of eclectic things because
But
like
Costco has
in-
everything. I've been
in
lied
the
to.
next month or so, the Brazilian barbecue places should be doing Hunt Month, and I don't know if that was like if they're still doing that, but like they do a lot of odd, well, non-standard, meats and stuff like that, like wild boar and rattlesnake meat and stuff like that, where it's just like all perfectly edible and whatever, but they have a lot of animals that you wouldn't normally find on the menu at American restaurants and stuff like that, right? So if you go out to Yellowstone, which is only about 5 hours from here, then you can get bison burgers, and some places like in the valley you could probably pick up meat that's mixed, right? It's a ratio of bison in it.
I can get bison at Costco if I want to.
Yeah.
It's a bit expensive, but I could.
Yeah, I don't know if you can here, so but
So, do we have anything else, or should we close out the episode?
2 weeks, season 2.
2 weeks, season 2, and you can also join us next week or in 2 weeks. Next week will be Dresden Files. It'll be 1 p.m. Eastern, Saturday. Same in 2 weeks when we do Pushing Daisies season 2. You can support us on patreon.com/broken jars. If you do, you get access to our Discord, and we also have a website, brokenjars.xyz. Leave a comment, subscribe, do a like. See you next time.